Did you know that there are more than 200 secrets and Easter eggs in Resident Evil 4? But not all of them are important or interesting. So I present to you 60 secrets and Easter eggs from Resident Evil 4 that maybe you missed. But before we go into this video, I just wanted to thank you guys because we finally reached 770 subs and I can't tell you how much your support means to me, and I'm very thankful. So with that being said, let's jump right into this video. At number 1, we have this early scrapped concept of Leon dodging the enemy's attack, which sadly was removed from the final version. But thanks to the YouTuber Tyrant REB, we can look at this cool but weird ability and enjoy it. Speaking of scrapped content, did you know that the enemies were supposed to jump at you, but thankfully they removed it in the final version? And did you know that this Ganado is the only Ganado in game with glasses? And he's adorable, not gonna lie. Now moving on to the number 4, did you know that at the beginning of creating RE4, the voice actors were completely different from what we got in the final version? For example, Leon, which sounded like Steve from Code Veronica.
Excuse me, sir. I'm looking for a girl. Have you seen her before?
And beside that, we also have Sadler.
Feeble humans, let us give you our power. Soon you'll find yourself being unable to resist this intoxicating power.
Also, speaking of voice actors, did you know that the voice actor for Ashley also voice acted as Sandy Cheeks from SpongeBob? Or that Paul Mercier voice acted for both Leon and the Merchant, which is sad that we didn't got him as Merchant in the new Resident Evil 4 remake. Did you know that Salazar had his own moving and attacking animations? This move was founded by a Twitter user. Speaking of which, there is also another discovery on Twitter that apparently you can summon Tyrant from RE1 remake into the game and make them work and attack by editing some codes. And that got me thinking, what else is in the game that was reused? And apparently there is a lot. There's a lot of aspects from Resident Evil 1 that was reused in RE4. Like the sound the doors make when you open them, or reusing the same model for the spiders in both games. Now, if you want to watch all the reuse aspect, I recommend you to watch this video that I put in the comments below. It's an amazing video detailing all of them. Now moving on to the next, you can make Ashley perform a suplex in the GameCube version. The curators of Resident Evil had a very good taste in Western movies, and they use a lot of references from movies in their game. RE4 is no stranger to that. Like take Luis Serra's death for example, is a reference from the Alien movie, or the Plaga Type C, which is exactly like facehuggers. But there is more to it. For example, if you examine the broken butterfly, you can see a text saying this film makes anyone day, which is a reference from the Dirty Harry movie.
Go ahead. Make my day.
Or Ada Wong pose in this picture is a replica from the La Femme and Nikita movie. And I'm sorry if I said that wrong. And the most obvious one is the Leon handgun named Matilda, which is a reference to the movie named Leon the Professional. Just like the difficulty. Now there is a lot of secret death scenes in the game that goes like this. First, if you shoot at the lake, the logo will make sure to pay you a deadly visit, and a similar thing will happen if you shoot Luis Serra in the cabin fight. We also have the bugs and two El Gigantes. Or this one with the TNTs, which is my favorite of all. And beside that, we have these non-fatal secrets animations, like Leon's famous Mafia hat animation, or every character has his own animations holding an egg. Now that we talked about all these secrets, let's talk about these beetles that surprisingly were very hidden from the community, and they are the only animals in game that you cannot kill. If you didn't know, Resident Evil 4 got reworked 4 times, becoming one of the Capcom most rushed video games of all time. The first version was the 2000 build that later became Devil May Cry. The second build was so different and they kept working on it for quite some time. It was about Leon going into the castle and learning the truth about the creation of T-Virus and port generators. This build was cancelled because the hardware failed to render the Black Fog enemy. Keep in mind that this version later became RE5 that we all know and maybe love. The third build was the famous Hookman version, which was more like a test build for the new mechanics and enemies in the game, and it's interesting to note that the first man who praised the new over-the-shoulder camera was no other than Masahiro Sakurai, the creator of the Super Smash Bros. And the fourth version was the same build we got in the final game, and Shinji Mikami wrote the script in less than 4 weeks.
で2週間ぐらいで全部書き上げたんだけど、その
Resident Evil 4 is one of those games that you can play on almost all home consoles that was released after 2005. It even has a Java version beside iOS and Android as well. And in all of these versions, there are some differences. But the most impactful ones are not related to the device you play on, but to the region you play in. For example, the Japanese version of the game removed any gore or body removal animations, or the German version doesn't have extra modes like Mercenaries or Assignment Ada. But if you live in any of these regions and want these features back, I suggest you install the mode named RE4 Tweaks and enable those on the settings. RE4 had a lot of guns and interesting mechanics. For example, in Resident Evil 4, the difficulty will go harder the better you play because of its dynamic difficulty. But not all good and useful mechanics have to be official. For example, there is this glitch in the game called the Deadman glitch, and using it causing Leon to become faster. And to do this glitch, all you need to do is to get the striker shotgun and aim it. But before the red laser on the gun appears, open up your inventory and change your weapon. And congrats, you activated this deadly glitch. Also, there is another huge bug in the game that allows you to play as Wesker in the main storyline. All you have to do is to launch the mercenaries and select Wesker. But before selecting a map, exit and launch the main game. And the last useful glitch is that if you use this ladder and climb to the top of this tower, the GLaDOS will throw Molotov at you, but you won't die. And just wait 4 minutes and you're good to go without spending a single bullet. Besides using movie references in their games, Capcom also likes to use references from their other games. For example, the Killer 7 handgun in the game is the same name as Killer 7 video game, one of the other Shinji Mikami's masterpieces. But that's not all of it, because there is another reference that is very hard to find. In the island sections, there is this room named the monitor room, and in this room we can find a picture that is just like the cover art for Blood Witch, an old game that Capcom made in 1989. Now, if we break the game code and use a free camera hack in the game, we can have a great look at Hanagen's full body model. What is interesting is that there is this unused textures in the game that belongs to Hanagen, and in it you can see her black bras through her white blouse. Did you know that the Silver Ghost, the gun Leon uses throughout the game, is made by Kendo brother? Probably Joseph Kendo. As you can see, there is their signature on the gun. After the credit of Resident Evil 4, in the copyright sections, it says, "This game is protected under the laws of Raccoon Police Department," which is a cool reference to Raccoon City. At some point in the development, Leon was supposed to save Sherry again, this time from the hands of Wesker. We know that because in the earliest version of Wesker reports, we hear Wesker saying that Sherry is safe in our hands, but Capcom changed that early on into the development and removed that line from the 5th anniversary of Wesker report. After you defeat the logo, if you pick up the boat and try to go back, there will be a secret cinematic of muted wolves attacking you. The other thing that happens after we defeat the logo is that all the dead bodies in this wooden car disappears. In chapter 5, after the helicopter scene, we can see a figure in green, which till this day we don't know exactly who he is or why developers decided to use him as an Easter egg. Supposedly there was a silencer for TMP and handgun in the main game, but they removed it from the final version because it was useless. But I hope they return it in Resident Evil 4 Remake. For some reason, Krauser takes more damage with knives than guns, and you can defeat him easily with a knife. Luis Serra had a mustache in the first trailer. In the Japanese version, you can play the Ashley segment with fixed camera and it's something like Code Veronica, and I tested out, it's great. Mutated wolves can be annoying in the game, but for some reason, if you don't look at them and look at the sky, they won't hurt you. In the game's beta version, you can find this portrait of Dr. Salvador, and I think this is pretty cool, and I don't know why they removed it from the final version. If you shoot at the church ring, some Genados will definitely spawn, and you can farm gold and ammo with this. There are some hidden items in the game, such as these 2 red herbs, and these items that are in top of the prison area. If you shoot Mike on helicopter, he will react to it and call you crazy. And if you use a camera hack and zoom onto the helicopter, you can see the Mike face, and his eyes are just like Wesker's. The same can happen if you try and shoot the cops at the beginning of the game.
Hey, stop fooling around. No estés odiando. Get this over with, will you?
We all know that the merchant is the most significant part of the Resident Evil, but still I find many things about him that I didn't know before. First, in the beta version, you could bargain with Merchant for lower prices. Merchant is a Genado because you can see his eyes glowing red at night. Even if you kill him with the fire grenades, he makes the same sound as a regular Genado. But weirdly enough, he makes a different sound every time you kill him. And lastly, in his minigame, there is a lot of secret interactions that you can get by shooting a certain area. And lastly, in the chapter selection menu, there is always a scene missing. This is because the cinematic was removed in the final version, but with some glitches, we can still see it and open it. And that's about it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I'm Arshia and this is Red Herb. See you guys in the next video.